This ghetto trash doesn't deserve to fly. The words cut through the noise of the airport like a knife. Gate agent Alexis Martinez hissed the insult as she struck a match, the sudden flame throwing a sharp glow on her face. She held Emily Johnson's burgundy passport tightly in her hand, the gold letters catching the light just before the fire touched it. Emily's breath caught in her chest. For a moment she couldn't move, couldn't speak. Around her, passengers gasped and pulled out their phones. Some raised them high to capture the scene. Others whispered in shock. Alexis's thick fingers pinched the passport and dangled it above a small metal wastebasket. She looked right into Emily's face, her eyes filled with cold satisfaction. She was enjoying every second of this humiliation. Emily's boarding pass slid from the counter, swept aside by Alexis's forearm. The small piece of paper fluttered down to the dirty airport floor, landing by Emily's worn sneakers. "Pick it up, honey," Alexis sneered. "On your knees." The flame kissed the corner of the passport. The gold letters began to bubble and blacken. Thin smoke curled upward. "Stop filming!" Alexis barked at the passengers who dared to record. This fraud doesn't need an audience. But the phones kept rolling. Emily's messenger bag slipped off her shoulder. Inside, tucked away, was her government ID wallet. She kept it hidden. Her chest ached with shame, but her face stayed calm. She had been through difficult things before, but this was different. This wasn't a private insult, this was a public attempt to erase her identity while crowds watched. The orange flame spread across the cover, the burgundy fading to black. The federal seal melted into ash. "There we go," Alexis muttered with a grin, dropping the burning passport into the bin. Problem solved. Emily stared as the pages curled and crackled. Her photograph warped in the heat, her features disappearing behind bubbling plastic. "You just destroyed a federal document," she said quietly. "I destroyed a fake," Alexis snapped. She folded her arms, smugness radiating from her posture. That's what we do to trash in first class. In the corner of the gate, a teenage passenger, Avery Carter, lifted her phone higher, streaming live. The screen filled with comments. She actually burned it. "Call the FBI now." Viewers poured in by the thousands. The digital display above the gate blinked. Flight 447, boarding in 38 minutes. Emily's phone buzzed at her hip. The caller ID glowed. DC Director, urgent. She didn't answer. Smoke drifted toward the ceiling, and alarms chirped faintly. A maintenance worker hurried over with a fire extinguisher, but Alexis waved him off. "Just disposing of fake papers. Nothing to worry about." In the seating area, Benjamin Scott, a business traveler, started a live video too. His caption read, "Racist gate agent burns woman's passport at O'Hare." Within minutes, the hashtag passport burning spread like wildfire online. Emily bent down slowly and picked up her boarding pass from the floor. Shoe prints smudged the paper. She stood up again, the dirty ticket in her hand. "Stay down there," Alexis mocked. "It suits you better." The crowd gasped. More phones pointed at the scene. Emily drew a long, slow breath. She looked at Alexis, her eyes calm, her voice steady. "Ma'am, I need to board this flight." "Not with burned documents you don't," Alexis snapped. She poked at the charred passport remains with a pen, smirking. "Look at this mess. Cheap foreign printing. Burns fast." Ash broke apart in the bin. Stamps from dozens of countries, official visas all curling into nothing. "I can verify my identity through the system," Emily said evenly. "System's down," Alexis lied. "Besides, people like you always carry fake ID. Probably got a counterfeit driver's license too." Emily's phone buzzed again, this time flashing Federal Marshal's office. She let it ring. A uniformed officer, Mason Walker, arrived at the gate, drawn by the smoke and the restless crowd. He looked into the bin, saw the ashes, then turned to Alexis. "What's happening here?" "Fraudulent documents disposed of properly," Alexis said proudly. This woman tried to board with fake identification. Mason studied the ashes, then turned to Emily. "Ma'am, did you bring fake documents?" They were legitimate federal documents, Emily replied calmly. Alexis scoffed. Real passports don't burn like napkins. She thought she could trick us. The passengers around them stirred. Some nodded in approval, agreeing with Alexis. Others shook their heads in disbelief. From her corner, Avery's live stream shot past 80,000 viewers. Comments raged across the screen. This is illegal. She's destroying evidence. Emily's messenger bag shifted, revealing the faint glint of a badge chain. Quickly, she adjusted the strap, keeping it out of view. The supervisor, Jessica Wilson, appeared next, alerted by complaints. She scanned the scene, the smoke, the phones, the ashes in the bin. What happened here? Fraud attempt, Alexis said proudly. Documents destroyed per protocol. Jessica frowned but didn't hide her suspicion as she looked at Emily. Ma'am, attempting to board with fake documents is a federal offense. We'll need to detain you. Emily's phone rang again, this time with a sharp emergency tone that cut through the noise. Heads turned. Criminals don't get phone privileges, Jessica snapped. Emily stayed silent. Smoke still rose from the ashes of her passport. The gold eagle emblem had melted completely. Her diplomatic pages were gone. Around her, security gathered. More uniforms. More eyes. Everyone assuming she was the threat. Alexis stood taller, basking in the attention. It's always the quiet ones who think they can outsmart us. Good thing I know how to spot fakes. Emily said nothing. Her hands stayed visible. Her chest ached. She could feel the humiliation pressing down like a heavy weight. Her identity, her name, her history, all of it reduced to ashes in a bin. And yet, she knew the truth. They didn't. Not yet. The smoke still drifted upward from the bin. Passengers covered their mouths, some stepping back, others leaning closer with phones raised high. The air around Gate B12 felt thick, heavy, and tense, like the whole place was holding its breath. Emily stood calmly in the middle of it all, the scuffed boarding pass still in her hand. Her face was steady, but inside she could feel the sting of humiliation. She had worked for years to build her authority, her respect, her name. And now, a stranger had taken her passport and reduced it to black ash in front of hundreds of witnesses. She could hear Alexis Martinez's voice still cutting through the noise. That's how you deal with liars, the gate agent boasted. Cheat papers. Burns like paper napkins. No real passport burns like that. The words stung, but Emily didn't reply. Not yet. The crowd shifted again when Mason Walker, the security officer, raised his voice. Ma'am, I'll need to see any other identification you're carrying. His tone was professional, but his eyes carried suspicion. Emily knew the badge inside her bag could end this whole thing in a second. But revealing it too soon would ruin everything she had been working toward. She took a slow breath, her hand brushing the strap of her bag, and shook her head gently. The passport you just saw was valid. Fake, Alexis interrupted, loud enough for everyone to hear. She wanted the crowd to agree with her. I've been doing this for 15 years. I can smell a counterfeit before I even touch it. In the back of the crowd, a woman in pearls nodded. She's right. People are always trying to sneak into first class. Good catch. But the younger passengers weren't buying it. Avery Carter's live stream passed 90,000 viewers. Comments filled her screen. This isn't right. She's destroying evidence. Call Homeland Security now. Emily's phone buzzed again, the vibration against her hip sharp and demanding. The display glowed with another federal call. She wanted to reach for it, but she knew she couldn't. Not with all eyes watching. Not with Alexis standing there, waiting for her to make one wrong move. The gate manager, Daniel Evans, finally pushed through the crowd, his face tight with frustration. What's burning here? He demanded. His eyes swept across the scene. Smoke, ash, phones, and a passenger standing silent, while chaos unfolded around her. Fraudulent documents, Alexis announced proudly. I caught this woman trying to board with fake papers. Took care of it myself. Daniel leaned over the waste bin. Among the ashes, half of Emily's passport photo was still visible. The gold federal seal had melted into tiny droplets at the bottom. His brows furrowed. "This doesn't look like fake paper to me." "They're high-quality fakes," Alexis said quickly, her confidence beginning to waver. "That's how they fool people. But I know better." Emily didn't say a word. She didn't need to. She simply stood tall, letting the scene unfold around her. The gate supervisor, Jessica Wilson, crossed her arms. "Ma'am," she said to Emily, "until we sort this out, you'll be detained. Attempting to fly with false documents is a serious offense." Emily's lips parted slightly, but before she could answer, her phone buzzed again with a sound that made the entire crowd pause. It wasn't a normal ringtone. It was sharp, urgent, almost metallic, something many in the crowd had never heard before. A few passengers exchanged looks. A soldier in fatigues leaned forward and said quietly, "That's a government line. I've heard that tone before." Alexis jumped in quickly. "Criminals steal government phones too. It's part of their scam. Don't be fooled." The murmurs rose louder. Phones recorded every second, capturing Alexis's voice, Emily's silence, the smoke still drifting from the bin. Emily tightened her grip on the strap of her bag as the crowd pressed closer. The small badge chain inside had shifted again, peeking out from the corner of the bag. None of the officers noticed yet. Another officer arrived. Rachel Robinson stepped forward, her eyes scanning Emily up and down. "Ma'am, I need to know exactly what you're carrying in that bag." "Personal identification," Emily replied quietly. "More fake ID, no doubt," Alexis sneered. Her voice cracked slightly, but she held her smirk. Daniel Evans frowned. "We'll need to examine her belongings." He reached toward Emily's bag. Emily took a step back, her voice calm but firm. "I'd prefer to handle my credentials myself. Criminals don't get preferences," Jessica Wilson snapped. "You lost that right when you brought false papers into federal property." The passengers gasped again. Phone zoomed closer. Avery's live stream passed 200,000 viewers. Her screen filled with comments. "She's right. This is illegal." "That woman is calm because she knows the truth." "Expose the agent now." Emily stood still, her eyes locked on the officers, her breathing controlled. Every part of her wanted to pull out her badge and end this circus. But her training told her to wait. Timing was everything. Above the gate, the display changed again. Flight 447 boarding in 32 minutes. The countdown ticked forward. The crowd buzzed louder. More officers. The gate area had grown into a storm. Phones hovered high, capturing every second. The smoke from the burned passport lingered like an accusation in the air. Uniforms formed a loose circle around Emily Johnson, as though she were the danger, though she stood quietly, her hands visible at her sides. Inside, her stomach turned. Years of travel history, every page of her passport, had been reduced to ash in a metal bin. But she refused to let humiliation show. Her training told her to remain calm, let others expose themselves first. Daniel Evans, the gate manager, leaned over the bin again, his expression clouded. He could see fragments of security seals, watermarks, and the warped outline of Emily's passport photo. "These look detailed," he muttered under his breath. "Too detailed for a fake." Alexis Martinez's voice snapped back, desperate and defensive. "High-quality forgery, that's all. I've seen it before. Criminals are clever, but I know how to catch them." Her confidence was cracking. Emily noticed the way her lips pressed tighter, the way her eyes darted toward the recording phones. Emily's government phone buzzed again, this time with the distinctive emergency alert tone. The sound carried across the gate. Heads turned. A murmur rippled through the crowd. "That's not a regular phone," someone whispered. "That's a government device," said a passenger in uniform. "I know that ringtone." Alexis barked quickly. "Criminals steal government phones all the time. Don't fall for it." The eyes of the crowd moved back to Emily. She stayed composed, though the vibration still pulsed against her hip. Inside her bag, the small chain of her hidden badge glinted faintly as the strap shifted. Rachel Robinson, one of the security officers, spotted it. She frowned. "Ma'am, what's that in your bag?" Personal identification, Emily said calmly. Alexis scoffed. Fake ID. I told you, she probably has a whole collection. The gate supervisor, Jessica Wilson, stepped forward. Open the bag, she ordered. Emily's voice didn't rise, it stayed measured. I would prefer to handle my credentials myself. Criminals don't get preferences, Jessica snapped. You lost that when you walked in here with false papers. The crowd reacted with anger this time. Shouts rose. Avery Carter's live stream passed 250,000 viewers. Comments poured in faster than her screen could display. She's lying. That woman is calm because she knows she's right. This is discrimination. Record everything. Emily breathed slowly, counting each inhale. Timing. That was everything. She had endured this far. She could endure a little longer. The gate screen above flashed. Flight 447 boarding in 26 minutes. The clock ticked toward disaster. Ryan Cooper, the airport police officer, crouched by the bin again. He lifted a half-burned page carefully with tweezers. His eyes narrowed. These look legitimate, he said. Federal passports have a certain burn pattern. I've seen it before. This matches. The entire gate seemed to pause. Emily looked at him, her eyes steady. All documents made of paper burn when exposed to flame. That's basic science. Ryan studied her longer, his suspicion shifting into something else: curiosity, maybe even respect. But Alexis wasn't ready to let go. No. She's lying. This is all part of her game. I did my job. I protected this airline. Emily's messenger bag slid again as she shifted her stance. This time the badge chain slipped further into view. The gold edge of the emblem caught the overhead light. Several passengers saw it, whispering to each other, pointing discreetly. William Carter, the flight captain, arrived with part of his crew. His voice was calm but firm. What's happening here? Why is boarding delayed? Fraudulent documents. Daniel Evans replied, his voice carrying unease. Passenger tried to board with fake identification. Evidence was destroyed. Destroyed? Captain Carter frowned. Why would fake papers need to be burned? They were obviously fake. Alexis said loudly, her voice almost cracking. Real documents don't burn like that. Emily finally spoke, her tone precise. Sir, all paper burns the same when held to flame. No passport is fireproof. The captain looked at her differently. Her language was too careful, too professional, too exact. She didn't sound like someone who had been caught lying. She sounded like someone who knew the law. The crowd murmured louder. Phones zoomed in closer. Emily's government phone buzzed again, a piercing, alert tone echoing across the gate. This time, the sound couldn't be ignored. Heads swiveled. That's federal, someone muttered. That's not normal, another said. Even Daniel Evans looked uneasy now. His eyes flicked from the badge chain in Emily's bag to the government phone still vibrating against her side. Ma'am, Rachel Robinson said carefully, I need to know exactly what kind of ID you have. Emily exhaled slowly, her gaze sweeping across the crowd, the cameras, the officers surrounding her. She knew the moment had come. She couldn't wait any longer. Her voice was calm, steady, carrying enough force to silence the noise around her. Federal identification. The words hung heavy in the air. Alexis blinked, her smirk faltering. She's bluffing, she said quickly, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. Emily reached for her bag slowly, deliberately, every movement controlled. Hundreds of passengers leaned forward. Phones caught every second. Live stream audiences around the world held their breath. Her hand slid inside the bag. She drew out a black leather credential wallet and placed it firmly on the counter beside the ashes of her destroyed passport. The gold eagle emblem of the Federal Aviation Administration gleamed under the harsh airport lights. Silence swept across Gate B12. Passengers who had been recording lowered their phones slightly, their mouths open. Officers leaned closer, their eyes locked on the emblem. Even the hum of the terminal seemed to fade. Emily opened the wallet. Inside, her federal badge and identification card gleamed with holographic seals that no counterfeit could ever reproduce. The name on the card was clear: Emily Johnson, Chief Inspector, FAA Criminal Enforcement Division. Alexis's pen clattered to the floor. Her face drained of color. That's not possible," she whispered. But the truth was undeniable. Emily Johnson had just turned the entire scene upside down. Dear viewers, what you just witnessed was only the beginning. Emily Johnson's passport was burned in front of hundreds, and for a while it looked like she had lost everything. But the moment she revealed who she truly was, the chief FAA inspector, the entire story shifted. In Part 2, you will see how the tables completely turn, how those who humiliated her face the full weight of justice, and how one act at Gate B12 shook the entire airline industry. If you want to find out what happens next, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment Part 2 along with where you are watching from. Your support helps us bring you more powerful stories like this one.